So, we're actually making this a series, are we?
It looks like it.
So, to episode 2 of the podcast, hopefully this time there will be no technical difficulties and my mic will not destroy itself.
That is what we hope for.
What's editing for me, so...
Well, hopefully it's less work for you to do.
Yeah. As this time in the background, we'll actually have some gameplay going on, just so you're not bored out of your mind while watching this. But hey, our goal is to not be boring, so there you go. Without further ado, let's get started, because that was going nowhere. What are we doing today?
It seems like we're going to discuss every first-round draft pick, whether we think it's a good pick, a reach, or a great pick, a player at a position that, didn't think would be there at that point in time. And then for our own respective favorite teams drafts, mine being the Denver Broncos and you being the Seattle Seahawks.
Correct.
And then if we still have a little bit of time, we'll discuss some of the later round gems that were picked in this draft.
Yep, and I think some can immediately come to mind. Favoring, of course, the Broncos and Seahawks, that being Drew Lock and DK Metcalf. Would you agree those were pretty solid picks?
I would agree.
Anyways, let's get into it. Pick number 1, the Arizona Cardinals select Kyler Murray. What are your thoughts on it?
The worst kept secret in the NFL, it seemed like.
Nah, the worst kept secret was really a ruse, so.
Yeah. I mean, if people think Cliff Kingsbury can get him to where he needs to be and turn him around, then it'll be a good pick. But as of right now, especially with how they botched trading Josh Rosen, I just think you're going to get some of the same play you got last year.
Yeah.
You've got another rookie quarterback coming in behind a bad offensive line. He's going to struggle.
But I think, over the time, we didn't want this to happen, correct? We wanted to see Rosen stay for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I wanted to see Rosen stay and actually build a career with a consistent coach. His OCs being fired middle of the season and whatnot, but it looks like he may try to get that in Miami this year.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to win it all, so as much of a business decision as it can get.
Yep, definitely. So we'll have to see how that one pans out. That could be an excellent pick here in the next couple seasons, or it could be a terrible pick. As of right now, the jury's still out, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends how they build around him, because he does have the potential to be a good player.
Definitely.
That cannot be denied. He has potential to wear jackets.
The potential's there. They just have to. Football's a team sport. Keep him safe if you want him to last long.
Yep. Pick number 2, Nick Bosa, who had to delete tweets because he knew he was going there.
Had to delete tweets because he's going to a super liberal city and the most liberal state in the country.
Even though the 49ers aren't even based in San Francisco.
Exactly. This is probably the no-brainer pick of the draft. You got Nick Bosa sitting right there, best edge rusher in this draft.
Probably the best player, probably the most surefire player in the draft as well.
Definitely. The San Francisco defense was lacking in sack production last year. With him coming in, he should definitely help improve that.
No doubt.
Especially now that he'll be paired with D Ford on that defensive line.
Yeah, as long as D4 doesn't jump off sides each play, that's going to be a formidable dual edge rush attack that you don't want to see if you're the opposing team.
Definitely. As long as D4 can line up correctly, they should have plenty of opportunities to get sacks that will count.
If you're a 49er fan, though, you should be extremely happy with the pick.
Definitely.
Pick number 3, Quinton Williams from Alabama, over to the New York Jets.
Now, early talk during the draft was the Jets were trying to trade out of this pick, but they couldn't get. They decided to go ahead and take Quinton Williams, which I think's the second best player in this draft, right behind Nick Bosa.
You couldn't exactly go wrong here. You either trade back, get a bunch of assets, and a really loaded draft, or you can
Definitely.
just pick a superstar, potential superstar player. Not exactly. It's a win-win if you're Jets, and the Jets are starting to look like a really scary team for the next few years. So
Definitely. You're going to line Quentin Williams right up next to Leonard Williams. You got the Williams duo on that defense line.
Williams said himself he loves the fact that the Jets D line is already vaunted as is, and he can just slot right in as well.
Definitely. This will add This will add significant improvement to that defensive line as well, with it already being pretty good. So expect the Jets to be a hard team to run against next year.
Yep. And I think a theme of this draft going forward is that the Patriots are slowly losing their grip on the AFC.
Well, let's hope.
Especially as a Denver fan and a Seahawks fan, we both kind of despise them for our own reasons.
But let's just hope the spiral will start eventually, sooner rather than later.
Here's the first shocking pick of the draft, and I personally don't hate it myself. Quentin Ferrell outcomes in defensive end going to the Oakland Raiders.
My opinion of it, definitely was in contention for the worst pick of the first round, but I think I have a good eye for what that pick will be later on, and we will discuss.
I think it's obvious.
My opinion, he's not even the best Clemson D lineman that was picked in the first round. So I think the Raiders reached on a player they could have had at 24.
Yeah.
And I think they should have taken either Josh Allen or Daniel White here, especially with their lack of linebacker production and edge rushing.
Oh, it's obviously. I think if you're the Raiders, you have many first-round picks this year, and you'll have a few top picks next year. Just pick who you think is going to be a future player in your franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a safer pick, and I think if you're a top team, you don't exactly look at top talent. You look at what could take you to the next level to get you out of this record slump. But I can see how people would disagree with me on it. It's a reach, but it's what they want. And
yep,
it's a 10-year rebuild, and we're only 1 year in. We have 10 years of John Gruden, so he can afford to miss on one or two of these picks.
Definitely. I just opinion you get rid of one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and this is what you come up with as a replacement.
This is true.
I'm not saying he won't be good, but he's not going to match what a 4th overall pick should do.
He's not going to be the Khalil Mack.
He'll be a decent defensive end for him.
Definitely a starter for their time.
Mm-hmm. So only time will tell on that one, but right now that's a pretty big reach for Oakland.
Next up is probably pick even more surefire than the Nick Bosa of the 49ers. We have Devin White, interior linebacker to the Buccaneers.
And we've been hearing about this one for months too. They loved him at the combine. No one figured he would fall past 5. And lo and behold, he did not fall past 5.
No, none of the teams above needed or were going to take a linebacker, so the Buccaneers could have been really vocal about this and got away with it.
He's a speedy linebacker. He can cover. He can also play the run really well. He'll fit right in with the 3-4 defense they run over in Tampa.
He really fits in to that Quan Alexander role, which they lost. So it might be
exactly.
Quan Alexander was really underrated. So you bring in a guy like this, maybe they'll finally get some love at the interior linebacker position, where you can only really name so many names in the interior, like a Bobby Wagner or Luke Kuechly. After that, what automatically comes into a person's mind?
Yes, definitely. And he was rated the 4th overall prospect in this draft. He got picked at 5. I think that's a major win for Tampa Bay.
Now, pick number 6. This is interesting.
This is what I'm going to call the worst pick in this draft.
You want to say who he is?
Daniel Jones, quarterback out of Duke for the New York Giants. This is a quarterback ESPN has ranked as his 6th quarterback in this draft class.
59 overall.
So it's a major reach. And the explanation we got from Dave Gettleman about two other teams really wanting a quarterback, really wanting Daniel Jones specifically, is a bit of a stretch too. Denver and Washington were supposedly very high on him, and they did not think he would drop to 17. But we all know what both teams wanted to do at quarterback in this draft, and we'll explain that a little bit later on. But for me, this is a major. He'll have to sit for a year, maybe two, before he can even think about taking over.
I obviously agree with that. Like, I hope one day he'll prove us all wrong, because he got picked for a reason. No player gets picked without reason, in my opinion.
Love him, that's fine, but
it's just what reason is the question.
They're trying to validate a bad pick by saying other teams wanted him.
Yeah.
Every player that got picked, a team wanted at some point. So that's a bad excuse for why you trying to explain why you reached on somebody.
I mean, we all know number one, Drew Lock at the end of it. Like, even my opinion, Carolina, who doesn't need a quarterback, got a better quarterback.
Exactly.
In the third round.
Daniel Jones was, he's second over board, and he wasn't even top 5 in this draft.
Yeah. Here's a player who is top 5, Josh Allen to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Josh Allen, this was a great pick for them. A lot of people had them taking offensive line early, but when you have a talent like Josh Allen fall, an edge rushing outside linebacker, you have to go for him. He had 17 sacks in his senior year at Kentucky. And so the production is there.
Yeah, seeing that production reminds me of one Terrell Suggs, who had 24 in his senior season.
Mm-hmm.
And what Gallagher Suggs turned out, he's probably going to be a second ballot Hall of Famer, if not first.
Exactly. So, I like this pick for Jacksonville. They, in my opinion, they really nailed this draft.
No, there's not much more to say about it. It was a good pick. Case closed. Move on. And number 8, T.J. Hawkinson out of Iowa to Detroit.
Now, this was considered the most complete tight end prospect in the draft. He can run block. He can catch the ball. He's a good, yeah, definitely good route runner.
Sorry, we keep interrupting. Sure, he could definitely be a Gronk type player on a team who was looking to trade for Gronk a few years back.
Exactly. It looks like Matt Patricia may get his Gronk. We'll have to see. I don't normally like players of this position, the top 10, based on what their cap will be in year 5 and their 5th year option, but I think he'll be a good pick for him as long as they can keep Matthew Stafford healthy and protected to get him the ball.
I mean, I didn't watch the college season for Iowa, but how do you have your 2 tight ends be the top 2 tight end prospects of the draft when you're on the same college team?
It's amazing what they can do with tight ends. They're tight end U when it comes to college tight ends. They had
like
years ago come out
running back U pretty much.
And you got a debate between Florida State and LSU for DBU.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, if you're a college prospect tight end, I'd consider going to Iowa.
Good one.
You'll get it seems.
Next up, I think this is the steal of the first round, Ed Oliver, number 9 to the Buffalo Bills.
This was a great pick. Buffalo loved Ed Oliver. Not a lot of people thought he would fall this far, and when he fell right into Buffalo's lap, I think it strongly made them. I think with this falling to them, originally they wanted offensive line, but with him being there, this was a no-brainer for them. He'll come in and he'll replace Kyle Williams, who retired.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this pick.
It's a great pick. Definitely one of the best in the first.
He can play a lot of different techniques. He can probably play a bit of edge if you want to. It's going to be grading to 3 and to 5, though.
Yep.
Next up, another Devin, which is also an interior linebacker. Pittsburgh traded up for him. And what do you think about Devin Bush?
If Denver would have stuck here, I wanted Devin Bush to land in Denver. He was available, but it seems like Denver had their eyes set on gaining capital for a few moves later in the draft. I know Vic Fangio, after the combine, said that it seemed that he was not high on this inside linebacker class based on his comments about close to where Roquan was at this time of last year. So it's not a big surprise that they traded out, but I think Devin Bush in Pittsburgh will do well. He'll come in and he'll give them production because we still don't know if Ryan Shazier will be able to play football ever again.
And the most Pittsburgh way, they draft someone with a B, starting with their last name starting with B.
Exactly. They gave up a current future second to move up. Well, no, hold on. I had that wrong. They swapped first, gave them a second, and gave them a third next year. So I think Denver got a good haul for this. And based on how they spent some of them later picks they got in this draft, I think it worked out really well for them. And we'll get on that a little bit later.
I think it's a win-win in my opinion. Oh,
definitely.
Next up, Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of people thought they would take a quarterback here.
I thought they would strongly consider a quarterback, but I'm assuming that new head coach Zach Taylor will try to see what he can get a year, and then they may be tanking for Tua this next season.
I mean, you do you. You have to win a Super Bowl somehow.
Exactly.
Oh, well, it comes with a little bit of pain, and I think Jonah Williams is a good pick here.
In my opinion, he was the best offensive line talent in this draft. He can play almost any position on the offensive line, and I think this will really give Cincinnati a good anchor at either side of the line that he chooses to play on.
Yeah. Well, good. I mean, can't really say too much about offensive line. Nothing against them, but
yeah,
you don't need to say that much. A good O-line makes a team. Imagine if you had a Ryan Fitzpatrick or wrong example. Imagine if you had Nathan Peterman actually having an O-line. He may have not thrown those 5 picks.
Exactly. So having a good O-line definitely supplements having a middle-of-the-road quarterback as far as developing them.
Yeah. And next we have the Green Bay Packers, Rashawn Gary out Clemson. I presume this is who you think is the best O-line or the best D-line. I don't know what I'm saying. It's Michigan. I'm thinking of a later pick.
Yeah. As far as D-line, those were definitely taken early on, the best ones. I think Rashawn Gary here is he's rated the 13th overall prospect in this draft. He got picked at 12. I think it's pick for the Packers. I just think it's not a position that they really needed at the time. I think they could have gone somewhere else, or maybe even a little bit better of a defensive lineman later on with maybe Dexter Lawrence or Jeffrey Simmons.
I mean, they pay Aaron Rodgers. Once you say you have to make your defense young and talented, so
yeah, and
Gary's a safe pick in my opinion.
It was a safe pick. He's definitely got the athletic ability to produce. We'll just have to see how he does in new head coach Matt LaFleur's and new defensive coordinator's defensive schemes.
He usually plays some linebacker as well. Obviously not all the time, but
yeah.
I mean, a DN can play linebacker as a striker can play attacking middle in soccer. So
yes,
you don't want to do it all the time, but it can happen. Next up, the Miami We Want to Tank Dolphins pick up Christian Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins, who, if the Raiders would have gone, probably would have made more sense than Clelin Ferrell. Christian Wilkins was the best player on that Clemson defensive line last year. I think this is a really good pick for the Dolphins here. They get an instant starter at the D tackle position. He's high motor, very athletic. He'll be able to play the run, rush passer. I think it's a great pick.
Yeah. I have to agree with that as well. Next up, to the Falcons, Chris Lindstrom. A lot of people call this the number 1 offensive line.
Chris Lindstrom. Again, I don't know too much about him. He's versatile. Played primarily the right guard position at his time at Boston College. He seems to have a very high ceiling. We'll have to see how he does. Matt Ryan was one of the highest sacked quarterbacks last season. So getting them an offensive line piece definitely would help their case and maybe get them back into contention.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Matt Ryan can win a team a Super Bowl. He has proven he can get there before and arguably should have won it.
Exactly.
So having the quarterback isn't the issue, it's just protecting him because getting sacked 42 times, I mean, it doesn't seem like a big number, but that's 3 times a game, is it? Like, or about 2 and 5/8 or something like that.
Yes,
that's 2.5 times you get smacked to the ground as a quarterback.
That's a lot of hits for an aging quarterback to take.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument, Russell Wilson takes like 70 sacks a year. He's an Iron Man of the league. He's the Brett Favre of the league in terms of just his physical condition. So you can never truly compare one quarterback to another when it comes to their ability. Next up, we have Dwayne Haskins. The person we all thought would go to the Giants falls to their division rival, the Washington Redskins.
The fact that the Giants did not take Haskins at 6 instead of still baffles me. Haskins is far and away better than Daniel Jones. We'll just have to see, obviously, how the seasons play out and how their careers play out. But the Redskins get Dwayne Haskins. They don't have to trade up and trade any capital away. He'll most likely come in and start this year, given the talent of Case Keenum and the injury to Alex Smith. So I like this pick. His talent can transition to the NFL. But overall, this is the second best quarterback pick so far.
Yeah. It's second.
Or second or first. Depends on how you want to rate Kyler Murray.
Oh, true. Kind of feels weird. You kind of forget Kyler Murray gets taken number 1, then you realize it.
Yep.
Next up, one of the best last names of this draft, next to another person who got drafted in the first round, Brian Burns, Florida State outside linebacker, falling to the Panthers.
Burns, I think, is a very good pick. Carolina did not have a great rush defense pass rushing defense last year. He should come in and start at either of the outside linebacker positions.
I mean, do what you got to do. No, it tells all the time. You draft the defense when you have a good quarterback.
Exactly.
And many people will say, Cam Newton, his shoulder, is that going to be healed in time? We all saw what Andrew Luck had to deal with his skiing shoulder. But Carolina, later in the draft, actually got an answer for that. So
exactly.
It's arguably actually one of the top quarterback prospects in the draft as well, which is weird. Well, Brian Burns, I mean, can't really do anything bad about that.
No, that's a great pick.
Well, I'd say 14 out of the top 16 picks were pretty good, and only one was downright bad, per se.
Yes.
Next up, Giants take Dexter Lawrence out of Clemson. I think this is actually a good pick.
For them. They're, they dealt Damon Harrison to the Lions last year. Their defense ranked 20th in rush yards allowed per game. Dexter Lawrence should come in. They should fill that gap right there in the middle of the defensive line from training camp to end of the year.
I can't deny that. Now, next up, we have number 18, Garrett Bradbury. Center to the Vikings.
The Vikings needed protected, and they had a very terrible ranked rush offense. So I think this is a great pick for them. I have no quarrels with this pick. Your offensive line, it all starts with your center. They got their center for the next 10 years.
There you go. Simple as that. Next up, the Tennessee. We don't punt against you that much. Titans select Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle.
Jeffrey Simmons, again, the biggest thing against him is the video of him in high school hitting a woman. It seems though he's definitely paid for that. He's definitely seems like he's learned from it. The Titans organization that openly with the public. Obviously, if anything comes back later on in his career, like any other instances of abuse, it'll obviously make the pick look very bad. But I think with the talent level that he can show, I think it's a great pick for them.
I agree.
We'll just have to see because he's not an immediate player for the Titans. He's still recovering from an ACL. He tore back in February, so he'll probably be a mid-October, early November playing time for him.
Probably why he dropped down to 19 and could have dropped farther is because first round talent, you're expecting someone who can start right away for you. So
yes,
having to wait a season for a draft pick, it's like picking an overseas player in the NBA. Like, almost to the T. You can't use them.
Exactly.
Except, even though I haven't been really putting all my input into this that much, I'm letting this next pick go to you. Noah Fant, tight end to your team.
I really like this pick. So I'm a big Denver fan. Denver has struggled to find a consistent production tight end since Julius Thomas left years ago. And then they've truly not had an outstanding tight end since Shannon Sharp was there back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Noah Fant, he's a 6'4", 249 tight end who ran a 4.5 40 at the combine, faster than a lot of receivers. So you're getting a tight end that can move.
And some may argue he has more upside than Hawkinson.
As far as pass catching, I think he's got a lot more upside than Hawkinson. We'll have to see how the season goes. But given that Denver tight end room consists of Jeff Hireman, who they just re-signed to a small term deal, Jake Butt, who just tore his second ACL, and
poor Jake
Troy Fumagalli.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be starter by the end of training camp. It looks like, to me, it'll be a great pick, especially in today's game where tight ends are very valuable to have. You can look at tight ends across the league like Gronk, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, Jordan Reed, George Kittle. It helps to have a very dynamic tight end, and I think that's what Denver got here.
Yep. Next, the Seattle Seahawks trade back, and the Green Bay Packers select Darnell Savage Jr.
Darnell Savage. I don't think he was the best safety in the draft, but he's definitely a top 3 safety in this draft. We all know that Green Bay loves their defensive backs, safeties, whatnot. I think paired behind, I think at the safety position, he'll be behind Jair Alexander, who they drafted last year. I think that'll create a dynamic front and back coverage team for the Green Bay Packers. So I really like this pick.
You talk about players. I'm going to talk about how it fits in the scheme. Kind of, we've been doing it. Again, they pay Aaron Rodgers a lot of money. You have to build your defense young and cheap. So having first round picks and spending them all on the defensive side of the ball where you needed it.
Yes.
The Packers have been doing it right. They're in line for at least one more title run before Rodgers inevitably has to retire.
Exactly.
By 5 years from now, which is enough time for players to develop. And especially if rookies like this, where they have 5-year options, go for it.
Exactly. I agree with you.
Next up, Baltimore trades back, and the Philadelphia Eagles, the logo threw me off for a sec. Pick Andre Dillard out of hometown Washington State.
Andre Dillard, I really like him. He's got good size, unique athleticism. He's a very good pass blocker. People are very low on arms, but again, we're getting into semantics. Short arms with offensive linemen, short QBs. It's a lot of that stuff can be thrown out in today's modern game. But he'll come in. He'll be a good replacement for an aging Jason Peters, who's 37 years old. And with Carson Wentz's recent years of health, they want to keep him as safe as possible. So I think it's a good pick.
Because Carson Wentz by himself can lead a team to the playoffs, but when playoff time comes around, he's never been there for them.
Yep, 2 years in a row he's been hurt. I think this is good for them.
Without Nick Foles, they don't exactly have a good starting caliber quarterback to lean upon.
Exactly.
The time arises. Well, next up, Titus Howard to the Houston Texans.
Titus Howard. Definitely a big reach. He wasn't mocked on hardly any first rounds. But Houston does have a big need at offensive line. Deshaun Watson takes a lot of hits, and he's taken a lot of hits the last 2 years. So definitely is a needed pick. I just think they could have gone a better offensive lineman here.
I think it was a decent pick. I can understand why people would never sort of have him as like a top draft pick or a first round pick, but I mean ESPN has him ranked 47 overall, so it's not the worst pick in the draft per se.
Yeah, not the worst.
But not
Definitely
the best.
not the worst in the first round, in my opinion.
Now at number 23, or sorry 24, we have yet another player who seems to have been a lock before the draft even started. Josh Jacobs for the Oakland Raiders, their next Marshawn.
I think this was a good pick. I also think they could have waited till pick 27 in the first round to get him. But overall, 3-pick difference. It's not a huge deal. He doesn't have a lot of usage on him being at Alabama, and they run a multi-back system. They didn't have a great rushing game last year, and as we know, Marshawn Lynch just retired. Isaiah Crowell just tore his ACL, so it's definitely a big need for them. And he'll come in and he'll play from week 1. He'll be the featured back.
I mean, if you're coming out of Alabama, who's just a running back university, you are staying fresh almost the entire time.
Definitely.
And as long as it's not a quarterback, Alabama delivers in the NFL draft. They always do.
Exactly. I agree.
Next up, probably, I think the second most potentially helped wide receiver in the draft, Marquis Brown to the also present Baltimore Ravens.
Marquis Brown. He is Antonio Brown's cousin, if y'all didn't know this. He's very fast. He's explosive. A lot of people say he is the best receiver in this draft class, and I'm not going to disagree with him. He comes from Oklahoma, very high-powered offense. So obviously he's definitely produced good numbers. Kind of small, 5'9", 166 pounds, but he'll be, in my opinion, he'll be a great burner / slot receiver in this league.
He has amazing speed for a wide receiver.
And over in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson needs all the receiving help he can get.
If I were to think of a team that could revolutionize the offense, I'm not thinking of the Cardinals. I'm thinking of the Ravens. If Lamar can pass to someone like him, their offensive play style can be bountiful.
Yes.
To say the least. Next up, does he have a heart condition pick? Montez Sweat to the Washington Redskins.
Montez Sweat. A lot of teams were scared off by this so-called heart condition that he had.
Which was proven to be false.
It was proven to be false. So the fact that he still fell this far is a little bit amazing. But you got Washington trading back up into the first round. I think this is a great pick for them. If this is a Dan Snyder draft where he takes over and he does this year after year, Washington could be a contender in the next years, especially with Dwayne Haskins on a rookie contract.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was mad they sent everybody home and was going to do a draft himself. And now he's pulling off arguably one of, if not the best draft of the draft.
Definitely.
Directly speaking. As much as I dislike the guy, he's being a decent owner right now.
Yes.
Next up, Jonathan Abram. To the Oakland Raiders. Honestly, I feel like they could have swapped Jacobs and Abrams and the exact same thing would have happened.
I like this pick. I'm not a Raiders fan. I don't like the Raiders. I'm a Broncos fan. Yeah. They're probably my second or most hated team. But with this pick, I think this pick is worth more. Their third pick in the first round, their last pick in the first round, is worth more than their first 2 picks combined, in my opinion. Jonathan Abram will be a stud if they develop him right.
Anyone can be a stud if developed right, but this guy has sort of the factor that the Raiders like, the old hey, we're just gonna do this like our previous owner, just draft based on potential and physical abilities, and there you go.
Exactly.
Next up, the Chargers just keep getting better with picking Jerry Tillery.
Jerry Tillery, that's a good pick in my opinion.
Really heavy defensive line draft, so someone like him who could easily be a number 1 in some classes is now number 6 graded by a bunch, some even number 7. So being able to pick him at number 28 after everyone just went off the board as a defensive lineman, pretty good.
Yes.
And the Chargers already have one of, if not the most stacked defenses in the league. So adding someone who can play a nose-like position, you're just adding on to an even better team. I'm scared of the Chargers this next season.
The Chargers definitely are putting a great team on paper. Tillery is a great pick for them. He's gonna be stuck between some great edge rushers over in Los Angeles. So
Cameron Hayward and Joey Bosa.
Well, you got Melvin Ingram.
That too. They have a really stacked line. Like
the AFC West is going to have a hard time with this defensive line,
especially the Chiefs with what has recently been discovered.
Yes.
Jeez, the Chiefs are something else, aren't they?
Well, where there's smoke, there's fire.
And where there's fire, there's usually a bunch of trees nearby.
Exactly. And where there's trees, there's belts, or there's paddles, and Tyreek Hill loves to punish his children.
I was gonna say, when there's trees, there's forest. When there's forest, there's Forrest Gumps, and Forrest Gumps is not like that box of chocolates.
Exactly. Well,
who knows? He may be a bit too dumb to figure it out.
Yeah.
A movie based on the most average IQ of all time. Who have guessed?
Who would have guessed?
Next up, I guess I'll talk about this pick. L.J. Collier, defensive end of the college I hopefully will be attending in a few years, Texas Christian.
TCU.
Solid school to go to, but surprisingly liberal for a Texas school, but that's besides the point. All I will say is, he has the ability to be something great. They drafted him to be the Michael Bennett replacement. Pete Carroll said himself, and we all see how Michael Bennett's doing, even at his age.
Yes.
Man's posting up double-digit sacks on new teams each year like it's nothing. If you draft a person who can fit into any scheme you throw at him, that's a worthwhile pick, no matter how much of a reach people will say it is. And the thing about Seahawks is, for the first 2 picks, people said they reached. But, I mean, we all know how the Seahawks like to draft. And this definitely wasn't one of their styles of draft picks right here.
It definitely wasn't.
But I think it was still one of their better draft picks in drafting. The Seahawks had a loaded draft this season.
Yes, they did.
I mean, we're going to be talking about some like late round gems and stuff. Teams like the Seahawks are going to just pop up time after time. And I think we'll get to that hopefully at the end of this. Next up, Deandre Baker to the Giants cornerback. I find this a good pick.
I definitely don't think he's the best corner in the draft. The Giants traded back up into the draft to take him. I'm not going to say he's a bad pick for them. Could have gone a little bit better with either Greedy Williams, Rock Ya-Sin, fourth. But
I think
given their need,
would have been there, in my opinion. But
yeah, definitely. But given their need for a corner, Janoris Jenkins is getting old. I think it's a good pick for them.
You can't
as
really
far
go
as need.
I mean, there was obviously DeAndre Baker was probably the second tier of cornerback in that draft, but he's not far off from the top 3 guys who by themselves could each and individually be argued as the 1, 2, or 3 best corner. So
yes, definitely.
He's in good company to be a number 4, honestly.
Definitely in good company.
I will say, I love what happened with the 30th pick. So Seattle held 29 and 30. And NFL rules state, if you go over your allotted time, the pick gets skipped. They had 2 picks in a row, so they just waited 15 minutes to get the trade done. then pick their 29th pick with the 30th pick, and then the Giants pick their pick. Now,
Exactly.
if that's not the most John Schneider and Pete Carroll move you've ever seen, I don't know who you are. Because give it to the people who are extremely innovative of how they run the team. And by the way, that pick originally was from New Orleans, which went to Green Bay, which went to Seattle, and then went to the Giants. What you don't know, that's 4 different NFC teams in 4 different divisions.
Yes.
Can't say you'll see that any day. Next up, Caleb McGarry, tackle out of Washington, going to the Falcons, and geez, the Falcons are really wanting to save Matt Ryan's career right now.
The Falcons are wanting to keep Matt Ryan upright and healthy for as long as possible, and I do not blame them.
He is a top 10 quarterback when done well. I mean, he has won an MVP. He has shown what he can do.
Exactly. I think this is a good pick for them. There's not much else you can really say.
They just picked up the stereotypical right tackle that's going to do well in the NFL.
Exactly.
Final pick. A lot of people thought they would go tight end here, but the Patriots select tight end-esque wide receiver, N'Keal Harry.
N'Keal Harry. Definitely, I mean, what you don't want to see for New England is New England picking good wide receivers, especially to help Tom Brady out late in his career. But I think this is overall really good pick. He's a big receiver, big-bodied. He'll catch a lot of 50-50 balls given the chance.
Yep. I can agree with that, and I just got ping on Discord, and you can see why I'm happy right now.
Yes, I just saw it. If y'all, in case y'all need a little bit of information, our mid-season MVP for our 32-player Madden League is
a rookie kicker.
Is a rookie kicker for the Miami Dolphins.
Do I run? So, I mean, it makes sense.
When you kick,
this is how we met, and this is how we started the podcast. So, might as well know.
A couple names on this list I don't agree with, especially the best D-line. But it's okay because one team is 6-2 and one team is not 6-2. So winning's all that really matters.
Let's get back to this. Let's go over some of our favorite picks from our team's drafts. You want me to start?
Yes, we can start with Seattle.
I'll say if you think about steals in this draft, I think 2 players come to mind that they're both from Seattle. That being DK Metcalf and Ben Burkervin. DK Metcalf is a wide receiver out Ole Miss, and he is already through the first few days of rookie minicamp looking like a Calvin Johnson type of player. Straight off the bat, if you paid any attention to days 1 and maybe 2 of rookie minicamp, he has made, I think, 5 25-plus yard plays and like 2 scrimmages on day 1 of minicamp. And so he's already proven it, and recently drafted safety Ugo Amadi also said the man's a freak in nature. And for a guy who's 6'4" and 240 pounds, who's built like a tight end, you expect him to be a bit slow on his feet. Yeah, he's as fast as Tyreek Hill in sand. So there you go. And then I would say Ben Burkervin could easily be, if Bobby Wagner somehow does not resign with Seattle, easily could slide into the middle linebacker position and be a commander like he is. And they drafted him based on how good his special teams ability was, and he's proven it already. And then I'll briefly touch on the Oregon defensive back who can play free safety, strong safety, nickel, whatever you want him to play as, and Seahawks do need a nickel. So what about you?
Again, Denver fan. This was probably one of John Elway's best drafts he's had as a GM for the Denver Broncos. In recent years, it seems, especially last year too, it seems he's learned a thing or two about drafting and scouting. So,
especially quarterbacks.
So, my favorite pick, obviously, is getting Drew Lock at pick 42 in the second round, a first-round rated quarterback, a top 3 in this draft, in my opinion, rated quarterback. And you get him at pick 42 in the second round. That is amazing value. There's no pressure on him to come in and start day one. They can give him the time he needs to learn how to play at the NFL level. And really serious about riding Joe Flacco for a year, then it's a good pick.
And if I can just add on to that for a second, you do have Joe Flacco, who is he may not be elite, but he has one of the better IQs in the NFL as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
People will ridicule him about being a check down artist. Ain't the check down the person that's always wide open if no one else is?
Exactly. You take what you can get in this league.
And Joe Flacco is once he gets scrutiny for it, that's what he does.
Exactly. You got that pick. Noah Fant, you've already heard my opinion on that pick. It's a good pick.
Yeah.
Dalton Risner in the second round. I didn't think he'd fall to the 10th pick in the second round, but he did. I think that's a great pick for them. He'll immediately slot in to either the right guard or right tackle position based on what training camp looks like. Their top 4 picks for me were outstanding. Draymond Jones out of Ohio State had great production last year. To get him in the 3rd round, I think is simply outstanding. He can slot right in at either an end position or a D tackle position. So I think for them, that's a good pick. 5th round pick, Justin Hollins, linebacker out of Oregon. He's played a lot of outside linebacker, but he's versatile enough that I think he can move to the inside linebacker position. And then Jawan Renfrey in the 6th round, wide receiver out of Colorado. Didn't get a combine invite. Did really well at his pro day. I think in the 6th round, you're getting a very speedy, good route running receiver. So I think he can definitely turn out to be a very good pick.
So I think that covers the draft portion. And since we have a little bit more time left over, I say you want to talk about the elephant in the room.
Which elephant? Andy Reid?
The extremely fast elephant for the elephant.
Oh, yes. The Tyreek Hill situation.
It's a touchy subject.
Look, I'm not a Chiefs fan. If he was innocent all day long, and I'll sit here all day long and tell you he's innocent, he should play. But in everything that's come out in the last month or so, the report that he broke his son's arm, punishing him.
And don't forget, you better be frightened of me too.
Yeah, his fiance's sitting there telling him over a recording that his son's afraid of him, and he tells her, "You need to be afraid of me too."
And this is the same woman who he beat 3 years prior.
Yes.
And last time I checked, Tyreek Hill has not become Ray Rice in those past 3 years, or he's actually become a better man.
Yeah, Tyreek has done nothing, in my opinion, to subjugate that he is a terrible person. And then here in the last week, his lawyers released some text messages that he sent that sound nothing like how he sounds nothing like Tyreek Hill. Obviously, it's a ploy to make him look innocent, but I think here in the next few weeks, more will come to light. I think ultimately he will get a big suspension. The fact that the Chiefs organization has not cut him yet based on all these allegations.
I'll step in. I think the Chiefs are doing it the best way they can right now. They pretty much ban him from the team. They cut him without cutting him. So if he's innocent, he's still on the team. If he's not, man's getting banned from the league and he's getting cut. So
yeah,
the Chiefs as a business, as a franchise, are being smart right now, and I can't blame them. Who I can blame though is Roger Goodell for just not making an example yet, because even if these are accusations, there's a meat behind this accusation. A lot of these times, like you'll see it with NBA players, where this one random girl says, "I'm his baby mama" or something like that. Those die within hours or a few days. This has lasted.
This has lasted for an extraordinary amount of time. I'm afraid.
Ever since the draft, pretty much, is when it picked up.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of meat to this. So we'll find out in the coming weeks. My personal opinion, he's not innocent. In my opinion, he should be banned from the league. What he's done is ultimately worse than anything that Frank Clark, Ray Rice, Kareem Hunt.
I'll even add on and say it's worse than what Adrian Peterson did. And that's literally being cut from the same cloth, like things he did wise. Because I'm not defending AP by any manner when I say this, but how old was his son? Like 10 years old?
Yeah, Adrian Peterson's son was a little bit older, so in my opinion,
He was old enough to know what was right from wrong. I'm not saying the way he dealt with it was the best way, but you could see the mind behind it.
Exactly.
But with Tyreek Hill, albeit or not, 3 years old. 3. This kid does not know what right from wrong is. And
no.
They say, the Warriors are saying, oh, Tyreek Hill, oh, he's like doing the little like chest push that you do to someone, like stiffen up your upper lip style stuff.
Exactly.
Like this, if you heard that, is different from that. And I just punched myself in the chest to prove a point, so.
Exactly.
I'm dedicated to this.
I think he should definitely be banned from the league. And I think in the future, teams drafting people with past violent issues like that, once one resurfaces when they're in the NFL, I think a team should be docked draft picks.
Like, I think the XFL is doing something better than the NFL, even though most of the NFL stuff was inspired by it nowadays. But the way the XFL is doing it is right. If you have any criminal history, you ain't getting in, chief.
Yep, exactly.
If you're an imposter or something like that, then we can talk. But stuff like Tyreek Hill, where he already committed a crime beforehand, he'd be gone before any of this even started.
Exactly.
And even so, like Ray Rice, who is now a decent human being, he's still ain't getting in.
Nope, he's definitely not getting in.
Nor Adrian Peterson, nor all. Like, the NFL, I get it. Some players turn into good people after these incidents. They go and they become the better man. They toughen up, they say they were in the wrong. Tyreek Hill has not done that at the moment. Like, the second Adrian Peterson got punished, he knew he was in the wrong.
Yes, he did.
Ray Rice was gone. Man took therapy, man did everything. And there's a good video about it as well, about what happened to Ray Rice. Tyreek Hill, he has done nothing yet, and he knows what's going on. It's like he expected it, almost.
Yes, he did expect it, and it's just a shame that
such a good player has such a troubled mind.
Exactly.
Like, imagine if Russell Wilson, saint of the league, could be compared to be a better person than J.J. Watt himself. Man goes to the hospital every Tuesday just to see cancer patients and stuff. Imagine if this dude hit Ciara several times and didn't say he was in the wrong. Like, imagine how automatic that would have been.
Very automatic.
Like, we get Russell Wilson, but there's no excuse for that. So why is Tyreek Hill still there? Oh, he's a young person on an exciting team, stuff like that. He's a major part of the offense. Yeah, so is Wilson, but you'd ban him right away.
Exactly.
So is Tom Brady, you'd ban him right away, etc., etc. So why, in this situation, are you doing that? Why he's not even on the commissioner's exempt list. They have done nothing yet.
Yeah, they've done nothing, and it's a shame. They, at least until, I know our motto in this country is innocent until proven guilty, but instances like this, he needs to be put on an exempt list. It says, hey, you can't continue any football activities until you are proven innocent. There's none of this, yeah, you can do whatever until we actually figure it out. No.
I'll say with the innocent until proven guilty, we're not those people that say, oh, like, Trump should be impeached over this reason, which there's no, like, even thought behind it. That's guilty until proven innocent. What we're doing right here is we're looking at what's been presented to us and making an assumption.
Yes.
He's not in jail. He's not doing anything where that saying goes into place right now. We are making a simple assumption, and right now I'm pretty sure we both assume he's not innocent in this situation.
Yeah,
And
I definitely don't think he's innocent.
If he is innocent, then his fiance is not innocent. Either
Definitely.
way, there's a wrong in this situation.
I don't think either parent is fit to have that child, and that's got to be a scary thing for that child growing up, knowing that he can't rely on either of his parents.
The DA even said he doesn't know who did it, but a crime was committed there.
Yep.
So I even think like the judicial system's not even doing that much because they're not even laying up where Tyreek Hill's son is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he in CPS? Is he still at the house? Is there an extra guardian over there? All three are viable options if you tell us.
Exactly.
Like, I'd hate to see him just in a normal situation, but at least let the people know. It's a public matter.
I agree.
It's a public matter.
I agree.
If you're in such a situation where you're taking an NFL, like, who could be a future Hall of Famer, even at this young an age, the information should be public. And
yes,
court records by themselves already are things that should be publicized because that's what a bunch of laws mandate per state. I don't know what it is in Kansas City, but my point still stands. And if I'm in the wrong, I'm in the wrong. But
I agree.
I'll at least admit I was in the wrong.
Yes. So, it's definitely interesting, but we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think the second decision happens, we're probably gonna be right here, like skipping anything in our schedule. Because my question is, like, to play devil's advocate to support Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
That KCTV5, the station that got it, how did they have that, but the DA didn't?
No clue.
That's just in defense of Tyreek Hill because we all know the judicial system has and can be flawed.
Yes, definitely.
I touching on the subject, but literally the other day, there was someone who got shot by complying to an officer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clear to say there are some flaws in the system. So
definitely.
I want to put past a DA office, which can be sketchy at times, to not know stuff, and I don't know where I'm getting at, but
I know what you're trying to say, though. I mean, I get it.
It's hard. It's hard to physically put into a sentence, not even emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard to word. But
yep.
Yeah, I mean, without even noticing, we went on for 12 minutes about this.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. With so little, so much can rightfully be made.
Yes.
Because where we all base this off of a recorded segment, which, first off, how was I even recorded in a nutshell? Was the wife baiting him into saying it, stuff like that? Because there are a lot of flaws in the argument that Tyreek Hill is guilty.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think she was baiting him. I think she just honestly to God wanted to have a recorded conversation, and I think that's what came out of that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of flaws on both sides, which makes this case really interesting. Like stuff like Adrian Pearson, we knew right away. Ray Rice, there was literal physical evidence behind this, and the elevator scene. So, without the evidence here, what is there? What's there to you know the old saying, I don't believe in what I can't see?
Exactly. I know what you're trying to say.
That can be applied here as well. And I'm not going for Tyreek Hill here. I'm going against him, but I'm just trying to. I always like playing devil's advocate in these situations because unless something is 100% true, there's always going to be a different side to the argument.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm one to believe in innocent until proven guilty. If someone's convicted of murder, I want to know darn well that they were the one that murdered them.
Yes.
So that's my point. I think we said all that we want to say in this limited time frame.
I agree. I think as of right now, we can continue on to this on our next podcast.
Yep, we are upcoming to it, the 10 seconds away from the 60-minute mark. So I'm going to quickly say, if you're if you're to this point, I hope you all enjoyed. Welcome to Not So Suspicious Podcast. I forgot to say earlier. This is Jesse and Mike. Goodbye, y'all. 1 hour, 1 second. Peace.